There is a soul somewhere who carries a deep and powerful love for you. Yet, even with those strong feelings inside, this person has deliberately chosen to remain far away from you. Before your mind begins creating explanations, questions, and different stories about why this is happening, I want you to pause for a moment and take a slow breath. Because the message reaching you right now is not something ordinary. This moment, these words, and the timing of you finding this message may feel deeply meaningful. It speaks to a connection that your heart may have already sensed for a long time. It can feel like a confirmation of the truth your inner self has quietly wanted to hear. Beneath all the confusion, unanswered questions, mixed signals, and emotional uncertainty, there may be something much deeper taking place. Not everything that happens in life is meaningless. Sometimes, certain messages arrive when we finally become quiet enough to notice what our own inner voice has been trying to tell us. When you stop rushing, stop forcing answers, and allow yourself to become still, you may begin to recognize things that were hidden beneath the surface. Your spirit may already understand something that your logical mind is still trying to figure out. There is someone connected to your life story, perhaps someone who is still present in your world, or someone who once stood very close to you, who carries feelings they struggle to express. Their emotions may be much stronger than their behavior suggests. They may feel something so intense that they do not know how to manage it. They may experience a longing for you that continues even when they create more distance. The more they try to put space between you, the more clearly they may notice what they feel inside. Do not automatically assume that their quietness means they do not care. Sometimes silence can hide feelings rather than prove their absence. Their silence may contain emotions they are unable or unwilling to speak about. As their attachment becomes stronger, their desire to step backward can also become stronger. It is almost as though caring about you has become both a beautiful gift and one of the hardest emotional experiences they have ever faced. This is something their heart may already know. Even when their actions attempt to hide it, they continue creating distance because you reached a place inside them that very few people have ever touched. You awakened something that had been sleeping beneath years of emotional protection. You reached beyond the surface they normally show to the world. You may have touched feelings they had carefully buried, ignored, or convinced themselves they no longer had. If you are dealing with someone who seems to love you but repeatedly pulls away, take a moment and recognize that this kind of behavior can sometimes come from inner conflict rather than a lack of emotion. As Carl Jung once wrote, the meeting of two personalities can be compared to the meeting of two chemical substances. When there is a reaction, both are changed. Something similar may have happened between you and this person. You changed something within them. Your presence may have made them notice parts of themselves they had never allowed anyone else to see. You may have helped them discover emotions they had spent years keeping under control. You slowly reached the walls they had built around their heart. You touched a part of their inner world that even they may not have fully understood. You are not simply another person passing through their life. In their experience, you may have become like a mirror. You reflect what they deeply desire, but you also reflect what they are frightened of losing. You may remind them of their hopes while also bringing their old wounds to the surface. You show them the possibility of real closeness, but that possibility can also make them aware of everything they have been avoiding within themselves. They may never have experienced feelings that were this strong, this honest, or this difficult to control. Without even trying, you may have lowered the emotional defenses they spent years building. Around you, they may have felt unusually open. They may have felt seen, understood, and emotionally exposed in a way that was unfamiliar to them. And for someone who has learned to protect themselves, vulnerability does not always feel safe. Sometimes being truly seen can be more frightening than being alone. You were never part of their original plan. Your arrival may have been unexpected, sudden, and powerful enough to shift the direction of their inner world. They did not expect the spark that appeared during your conversations. They did not expect the strange sense of peace they felt when you were near. Most of all, they did not expect the frightening realization that your absence could hurt so deeply. This person may remain distant, not because they have no interest in you, but because they are overwhelmed by the emotional influence this connection has created within them. You have become someone whose words, thoughts, and opinions matter far more than they expected. In some ways, you have become a mirror they are not completely prepared to look into. You reflect their emotional truth back to them. And when someone has spent years avoiding certain parts of themselves, seeing those parts clearly can be uncomfortable. If you have someone who cares deeply, but keeps their distance because they are protecting a fragile sense of self, loving you can feel like standing at the edge of something enormous without knowing what will happen after taking the next step. They may fear that once they move toward you, they will not be able to return to the emotional safety they once knew. So instead of taking that risk, they stay frozen. They choose distance. They create silence. They tell themselves that staying away is easier than facing what they truly feel. Their distance may even carry a quiet sense of guilt. Deep inside, they may believe that you deserve someone who is more emotionally complete, more healed, more confident, and more stable than they currently feel. They may replay old mistakes in their mind. They may remember conversations and wonder whether they said the wrong thing. They may think about moments when they could have acted differently. They may fear that their unresolved pain will eventually enter your relationship and destroy something that feels too precious to lose. Inside their silence, there can be a soft but persistent voice telling them that they are not ready to meet you as the best version of themselves. They may believe they need to become stronger before they can stand beside you. They may feel that they have too much emotional work to complete before they can offer you the kind of love they believe you deserve. If you recognize this kind of silence, understand that sometimes silence is not rejection. Sometimes it is a protective wall built from fear, insecurity, and the belief that one is not enough. Their retreat may be connected to how they see themselves rather than how they see you. They can feel the bond between you in places where ordinary logic cannot fully explain it. No matter how much distance they create, you may remain present within their thoughts and emotional world. They may try to distract themselves. They may fill their schedule, spend time with other people, focus on work, or pretend that they have completely moved on. Yet temporary distractions may fail to remove the deeper feeling. Replacements may not feel the same. Something inside them may continue returning to the essence of what they experienced with you. Their heart may remain connected to the emotional meaning of your bond, even while their mind keeps warning them about the vulnerability involved. Carl Jung spoke deeply about the things people try to push away within themselves. What we resist can continue demanding our attention. In this situation, the more this person tries to suppress what they feel, the more noticeable those feelings may become in their unconscious world. Their silence can therefore contain many things they have never said. It can contain regret, longing, fear, hope, and memories of moments they wish they could experience again. Their past disappointments may have taught them that closeness brings pain. Because of this, you may feel both incredibly valuable and strangely dangerous to their emotional peace. Not dangerous because you intend to hurt them, but because being close to you forces them to feel things they have worked hard to keep hidden. If you are ready to understand the truth behind their distance, stay with this message. They may be testing their own emotional strength. They may be trying to discover whether they can stand alone before they attempt to stand beside you. Beneath the appearance of independence, there may be a person who is struggling deeply with everything they have left unsaid. During the quiet hours of the night, when there are no distractions and the world becomes silent, their thoughts may become louder. They may remember you. They may think about what could have happened if they had been braver. They may wonder whether you still think about them, or whether you have finally moved forward. They understand, perhaps more clearly than they admit, that even one honest step toward you could change the direction of their entire emotional life. That possibility feels like a transformation, and they may not yet feel prepared for it. Their absence can become a kind of self-created exile. They separate themselves from you because they are trying to calm the storm inside them before facing the deep emotional stillness they feel in your presence. If you have ever wondered why someone who appears to care so much continues to stay away, the answer may be connected to the fear of what honesty would reveal. They know that one completely honest conversation could make their feelings impossible to hide. Once the truth is spoken, they may not be able to return to the comfortable uncertainty they have been living in. To truly love someone means accepting more than emotion. It means accepting responsibility, vulnerability, uncertainty, and change. And this person may currently be afraid of giving so much of themselves to another human being. They hide behind the idea of waiting for the perfect moment. They tell themselves they will reach out when they feel stronger. They may think they will act when life becomes easier, when their problems are solved, or when they finally feel completely ready. But some part of their spirit understands that healing does not always arrive at a convenient time. There may never be a perfect moment when every fear disappears. Sometimes people must move forward while they are still learning how to become stronger. Even while remaining far away, they may wonder whether your heart still has room for them. They may ask themselves whether you still remember them or whether you have finally closed the door. They may fear that while they were hiding from their feelings, you were quietly learning how to live without them. The deeper truth may be that they are slowly moving back toward the connection. Not necessarily when they become perfect, because perfection may never come, but when the pain of losing your presence becomes stronger than the fear of exposing their heart. They may eventually reach a point where staying away becomes harder than coming closer. From the outside, they may still look calm. They may appear normal, focused, and completely unaffected. They may continue with their daily responsibilities as though nothing important has changed. But when the noise of everyday life becomes quiet, the separation may hit them much harder. They do not simply miss you as someone they remember. They may miss the emotional experience of being around you. They may miss the feeling of being understood without having to explain everything. They may miss the peace, comfort, and authenticity they felt in your presence. You may represent a place where they felt more like their real self. That is why the absence can feel so powerful. It is not only the absence of a person, it is the absence of a version of themselves that appeared when they were with you. Carl Jung also observed that until unconscious material becomes conscious, it can continue influencing a person's life as though it were fate. Their hidden fear of being unworthy may have influenced their decision to retreat. Their insecurity may have guided their choices without them fully realizing it. Yet even while their conscious mind tells them to stay away, something deeper may continue pulling them toward what they experienced with you. This can become an important turning point in their emotional journey. They may eventually realize that avoiding the truth does not remove it. It only delays the moment when they must face it. If you are ready to welcome the version of this person that chooses honesty instead of fear, stay open to what comes next. During the night, when sleep refuses to arrive and they lie awake, staring into the darkness, their mind may return to all the things they never said. They may think about apologies they never offered. They may remember words they swallowed instead of speaking. They may revisit moments when they had the opportunity to tell you how they felt, but allowed fear to control them. They may wonder what would happen if they could go back and make a different choice. They may imagine reaching out to you. They may picture the conversation in their mind. They may think about what they would say if fear were no longer controlling them. They might begin writing a message and then stop. They may type several lines, read them again, and delete everything. They may open your name, stare at it for a while, and then close the screen because they still do not know whether they are brave enough to face your response. They may want to tell you that they never truly stopped caring. They may want to explain why they disappeared, why they became distant, and why their silence was never as simple as it looked from the outside. And perhaps the most painful part for them is knowing that you may not be waiting forever. They understand that your heart can become tired of uncertainty. They know that every day of silence creates another day in which you could decide to move forward. This realization may create a conflict inside them. One part of them tells them to remain protected and avoid emotional risk. Another part whispers that if they continue hiding, they may lose you completely. The longer they wait, the more frightening the possibility becomes. They may secretly wonder if you have found someone else, if your feelings have changed, or if you now see the connection differently. They may imagine you becoming happy without them, and although they may never admit it, that thought can hurt deeply. They may realize that the person they were trying to protect themselves from losing has been slowly slipping further away because of their own fear. This is why distance does not always mean emotional freedom. Sometimes distance simply gives a person more time to understand what they actually feel. There is also something important for you to understand. You do not have to chase someone simply because you believe they love you. You do not have to force a person to speak before they are ready. Your role is not to rescue them from every fear they carry. Their healing, their courage, and their emotional growth belong to them. If this connection is meant to move forward in a healthy way, it cannot depend only on your effort. They must eventually choose honesty for themselves. They must decide that their fear will no longer control every important decision they make. Your own growth matters too. While they are learning to face their emotions, you are learning to protect your peace. You are learning that love does not require you to abandon yourself. You can care about someone while still maintaining your boundaries. You can hold a beautiful memory without allowing uncertainty to control your present. You can believe that someone has deep feelings for you while also recognizing that feelings alone are not enough. Real love eventually needs courage, communication, honesty, and action. Maybe this person is currently going through that exact realization. Perhaps they are beginning to understand that staying away has not removed the connection. It has only made them more aware of it. Every attempt to forget may have reminded them. Every distraction may have brought them back to the same emotional question. Every quiet night may have returned their thoughts to you. And every time they imagine the future, they may wonder what their life would look like if they had been brave enough to choose you when the opportunity was there. The connection may have changed both of you. You may not be the same person you were before meeting them. Your standards may have changed. Your understanding of love may have become deeper. You may have learned that not every powerful connection arrives to remain exactly as it began. Some connections force growth. Some reveal wounds. Some show people what they need to heal. And some create a choice between staying protected and becoming emotionally honest. That is why their distance may carry a deeper meaning for them. They are not simply deciding whether to come closer to you. They may be deciding whether they are willing to become the person who can handle what closeness with you requires. They may have to confront their insecurities, their old disappointments, their fear of rejection, and their fear of being fully seen. They may have to accept that no relationship can be completely safe from pain. Love always carries some level of risk, because to love means allowing another person to matter, and you may be the person who made them understand that. Before you, perhaps they could keep everything under control. They could maintain distance. They could leave whenever emotions became too strong. But your presence may have disrupted that pattern. You made them feel something that could not be easily organized or explained. You made them question their own defenses. You showed them that being understood can feel beautiful and frightening at the same time. So if they are still far away, do not immediately turn their silence into a final answer. Their silence may be a chapter, not the entire story. But also do not build your entire life around waiting for them. Continue growing, continue living, continue becoming the strongest and most peaceful version of yourself. If they return, let them return with honesty. Let their actions match their words. Let their courage become visible through what they do, not only through what you imagine they feel. Because the deepest lesson in this connection may not simply be whether they love you. It may be whether both of you can learn to love without fear controlling the relationship. They may eventually discover that running away from vulnerability does not protect the heart forever. Sometimes it only delays the pain. Sometimes the thing a person is most afraid of losing is lost because they were too afraid to hold it properly. And perhaps that realization is already beginning inside them. Perhaps they are slowly becoming aware that your absence is not getting easier with time. Perhaps they are beginning to understand that the feelings they tried to bury are still alive. Perhaps they are finally asking themselves why they keep returning to the same memories, the same name, and the same emotional connection. The answer may be simpler than they expected. They never truly stopped caring. If their heart is working through fear, then what they need is not pressure, but truth. They need to become honest with themselves first. They need to recognize that being imperfect does not automatically make them unworthy of love. They need to understand that healing is not something that must be completed before they can experience a genuine connection. And they need to stop believing that they must become completely fearless before they are allowed to take one honest step. Meanwhile, your journey is also important. You have your own heart to protect. You have your own peace to preserve. You do not need to prove your value to someone who is struggling to recognize their own ability to receive love. Your worth does not decrease because someone is afraid. Their hesitation does not define your beauty, your importance, or your ability to be loved deeply. Maybe one day they will finally stop running from what they feel. Maybe they will understand that the person they were trying to escape was never really you. They were running from their own fear, their own wounds, and the parts of themselves they did not yet understand. And when they finally become honest enough to face those parts, they may also become brave enough to face you.